You're welcome to Joy News Prime, Ghana's most comprehensive news bulletin by far. Over the next 2 hours, we bring you the biggest headlines of the day, as well as business, sports, entertainment, and international news. My name is Israel. In this edition, transcripts of undercover video footage released by ACE, investigative journalist on corruption in the judiciary, details how one of the implicated judges took money to let off a criminal suspect. Meanwhile, the judges named are requesting an opportunity to cross-examine Barima. Governing National Democratic Congress closes nominations for its presidential and parliamentary primaries. We'll tell you some of the names of the people who completed the process. Elsewhere, the New Patriotic Party's Council of Elders is recommending that the national chairman of the party be asked to step aside as disciplinary action for misconduct.
And in business with me, Barima, we tell you how the use of mobile phones is impacting on businesses.
And then the Passport Office says it is taking delivery of new machines to address the nightmare applicants go through to acquire their passports. This bulletin is also available across Europe on ABN television. Stay tuned. Joy News Prime Reloaded is airborne presently. Now, our first story, one of the judges implicated in the corruption scandal in the judiciary repeatedly called the undercover reporters for the balance of on the 10,000 cedi bribe he had been offered to set a criminal suspect free. This is part of the dossier released by the undercover reporter on High Court Judge Ajed Nassam. The investigative journalist Barima has started serializing details of his investigations in the New Crusading Guide newspaper as well as on Facebook. Joy News editor Stephen Ante has more on this, and he joins me in the studio now. Good evening, Steve.
Israel, good evening.
Right. So you've been poring over the transcripts. What are some of the interesting things that have come
Look,
up?
I mean, for me, the interesting bit is when the judge, Ajed Nassam, has to call constantly for the remaining balance on his bribe, his tip, I mean, his cola, you know, and he was desperate for the remaining 2,000. I'll start from where the negotiation started.
Okay.
But interesting bit is when he had to go and meet the Tiger team, that is Anas, halfway in his official vehicle for 2,000 Ghana cedis to top up, so it makes 10,000. Now, Anas didn't have the whole 2,000, and he had only 1,000 just to demonstrate really how low the judge could sink for money. He virtually had to jump off from his vehicle and go grab this 1,000, only to realize, oh, it's not 2,000. Where's the rest? You know, that kind of thing. It's very funny. So if a judge could go to this length, I don't know how you and me could describe.
All right. So Anas, my understanding is that has been serializing this.
He has.
So what? It's in the New Crusading, the Crusading Guy newspaper,
yes,
and as well as on his Facebook page.
With the hashtag Stop Judicial Corruption. So on that hashtag, he's serializing point by point. So on this occasion, he dedicated the post to Ajed Nassam's case. So a tall list of things that he actually used the case involving the Republic versus four gentlemen, Franklin Pemley, Richard Afari, Bernard Salah, Mohammed Sanusi, in a case in which they were alleged to have stolen a checkbook belonging to Tema Oil Refinery and forged signatures and eventually withdrawing money up to the tune of 1 million Ghana cedis. So this was a big case. So Anas had to go in pretending to be the brother of Bernard Salah, the man who was eventually discharged. So he didn't know that a lot of transactions went behind the scenes to get him released. That summed up.
And do we know if indeed this Bernard Salah was discharged?
Oh yes, he was discharged. I mean, he was discharged after the bribe was taken and the processes were all fulfilled. I mean, Anas went to the court with the main objective of getting out Bernard Salah.
So if I'm to understand this, essentially there were a number of people who were on trial for this, and then all of a sudden this Bernard Salah is going to be discharged. And he wouldn't know why.
He wouldn't know why. I mean, it's just a test case to prove that these judges could be very corrupt, and the drama is amazing. Amazing. I mean, the serialization goes on. Now, I must also say that Anas, apart from the fact that he serialized case by case the issue against Ajed Nassam, listed actually cases in which Ajed Nassam has been involved, 6 of them. I can go through them quickly. The first one is Ajed Nassam refused a 1-month request by the NLC for the Ghana Medical Association and Fair Wages Commission to agree on the schedule for payment, indicating that the 1-month directive issued by the NLC for the parties to agree on the payment schedule to make a long one. And then 2, he fined 3 fined 30,000 each for stealing 623,000. Bernard Salah, aka Big Ben, was also set free by the court, presided over by Justice Ajed Nassam. This same Bernard Salah is the man Anas pretended to be a brother who he negotiated to pay 14,000 bribe directly to Ajed Nassam to secure his release. And then there is also an Accra High Court case thrown out, an application by 2 shareholders of HFC Bank seeking to stop an extraordinary general meeting requested by Senate. The court, presided over by Justice John Ajed Nassam, dismissed the application. So, look,
right.
Anas
and I'm also told, okay, and I'm also told that apparently the judge was also on the Justice for All program.
I wouldn't know the details of that. He didn't capture that in the Facebook post.
Right. Okay, but there's been a lot of activity, quite a bit of activity also at the judiciary regarding this particular matter. What can you tell us about
the 22 who were suspended have been meeting all day today with the Chief Justice, and they obviously have to be given the chance to see the video, the portions of the documentary that concerns them. So we're told that tomorrow each of the 22 who are being sent on suspension will be given the chance to watch the video, the portion that matters to them. So the key question people are asking is, why not watch everything? But no, I mean, according to the investigative techniques, it's necessary for them.
So this for the 22, how about for the Superior Court?
For the other Superior Court judges, they have been asked to write written responses. They've done that already. So the written responses have reached the Chief Justice, and subsequently, if the decision is taken that those make sense, then the next step in the procedure will follow through.
And how about the request? I'm told there's a request for them to cross-examine.
Yes, I mean, already we also know that Anas has, they have immunity from prosecution. So this cross-examination, I don't know how that will help anything, but yes, I mean, Anas, we're told will be giving, the opportunity will be given to these justices to cross-examine Anas. I'm sure Anas should be going with his lawyer in order to ensure that everything comes out clear.
Okay. Thank you very much, Steve Anti. And Steve Anti was bringing us to speed about the developments in this judicial corruption case. While the former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Sam Kujeto, is optimistic the exposure of corruption in the judiciary will help clean up the country's justice delivery system and make it more efficient. He wants the investigation by undercover reporter Anas Aremio Anas to serve as a notice to the judicial officers that they are being watched.
Yeah, I feel sad because I have been in practice now for the past 52 years, and I have seen judges with integrity, judges whom you've known them in practice, you've seen their attainment, their achievement, and then they sit down, and then when you appear before them, even when you disagree with them, you respect them because of the stand they've taken. But now it looks like what we keep hearing is that young lawyers from my office go to court, they come back frustrated because they don't understand the basis for some of the rulings and the orders which have been made. Of course, what can you do? You only say you appeal. But then, what has happened now is actually bringing out the bottom of the line. Is to say that, so you mean this is what has been happening, that most of us were unaware of. And I think this is, to me, will have to cleanse the system. And as I maintain, I said, it will help any judge who is sitting there, be a magistrate, a circuit judge, or high court judge, or appeal court, or even Supreme Court judge, to begin to appreciate that, look, you are being watched. The public is watching you. Judicial discretion is not a license for corruption. The stand and position being taken by the Judicial Council with the Chief Justice now will help to cleanse the system And also, as I said, to us as a warning sign to all judges to say that, look, you have been appointed, you are being paid. If they say the salary is not too much, then resign. But I am afraid many of them, even if they were in private, they will not earn what they are earning. So they are being paid very well. So they have no excuse whatsoever for trying to be influenced by bribes and other incentives in order to give judgment.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up thereafter. Don't go away. Welcome back to Joy News Prime. And one of the biggest stories that has been trending in the last couple of hours is that the Council of Elders of the opposition New Patriotic Party is recommending the disciplinary action be taken against party chairman Paul Afoko. A 7-page letter written by the council to the party's disciplinary committee outlines a number of reasons for which the party chairman ought to be suspended. One of our political correspondents, Malik Abbas Dabu, joins me now in the studio with details on this particular letter. And that's Malik. Why does the MPP Council of Elders want Mr. Afoko disciplined?
Well, it's because the party has realized that the problems that have blighted the party since Paul Afoko was elected chairman and Kwabena Agyapong was elected general secretary, the party has not known peace. The party elders believe, and you know that this council is chaired by a former council of state member, C.K. Tedam. They believe that if they do not take these drastic steps to resolve the issues confronting the party now, going into 2016, the party will have a more Herculean task to deal with. So, and they have a number of things. As you said, they listed a number of what they call constitutional infractions and violations by the party chairman and the general secretary. One of them, they say, the party's constitution clearly prohibits the chairman and the general secretary from acting arbitrarily. They cite instances where the general secretary, under the supervision of the chairman, asked people to go home at the party headquarters, sacked persons that were appointed by the party, like deputy communications director of the party. Those people were asked to go home, and the party's council of elders believe that actions such as that ought to have been taken by a larger body, i.e. the steering committee of the party, by the party itself. The other national executive committee members ought to have been part of that decision. But Kwabena Agyapong, supported by the national chairman Paul Afoko, did not go through the laid down procedures that they ought to have gone through if at all they wanted these persons sacked. Apart from that, the party also, the elders also state that in the recent discussions about management of the party's funds, you remember that when the party's flag bearer announced his Rise and Build tour, which was taking him to the Volta region, a day after he made the announcement, a person in the party, Baha Chamfo, went to the police and lodged a complaint about diversion of party funds. Now, before he went to the police with this complaint, the party itself had met and discussed the subject, and then appointed a 5-member committee to investigate those allegations of diversion of party funds by the first vice chairman, Freddie Blee, and the party's treasurer. Now, the party's concern is, if you have a national chairman who himself appointed the chairman of the 5-member committee, or Hinintu, to investigate a matter, and this matter is reported to the police, why did the chairman not tell the police when they wrote to him that this matter is being dealt with by the party itself? Why did he reply the police that he was willing to cooperate? The elders say this clearly is a demonstration of a person who is determined and willing to violate the party's constitution, because the constitution says this is how we deal with internal matters. Bringing in the police was an intrusion of the party's internal mechanisms,
which they felt shouldn't
and
have
the party
happened.
chairman ought to have known that. But it didn't stop there. His own spokesperson, Nanaya Osei, wrote a statement that was put out in the media saying that the party chairman was determined to ensure that the party's resources were used judiciously. However, in meetings by the council and the chairman himself, it had been agreed that the party matters will not be discussed publicly.
Okay, so they've listed quite a number of things. I'm wondering, the sanctions that they're recommending. How constitutional are these sanctions that the chairman be? What exactly is the sanction?
Article 4 of the party's constitution establishes a disciplinary committee. This disciplinary committee is supposed to investigate claims of violations, infractions, misconduct against persons in the party. Now, what these elders have done, what the Council of Elders have done, is to write to the disciplinary committee and to list all of these things which they say are infractions of the party's constitution which ought to be punished. So it wants the committee, the disciplinary committee, to investigate these matters. And then it says that going forward in next year's election, it is important that these two people be suspended at least until after the elections.
Right, so it's not just the national chairman?
No, it's not just the national chairman. The information we have is that the General Secretary, Kwabena Agyapong himself, has also been served with a copy of the letter. And if you look at the chronology of events, as I was saying, when the party the flag bearer said he was going to the Volta region, the chairman's spokesperson issued a statement that dominated the discussion. The flag bearer comes back. Last week he was going to, this week actually, he was going to the Eastern region. The General Secretary grants an interview and puts up things that the elders believe are meant to derail the campaign of the flag bearer. And they believe this must be dealt with going into next year's elections.
All right, thank you very much, Malik Dabu. Malik Dabu is one of our political correspondents. He deals with politics, but he's also editor of myjoyonline.com. We're taking a break. When we come back, we're bringing you more politics, this time from the camp of governing National Democratic Congress. Please stay tuned. The governing National Democratic Congress has closed the window for the filing of nominations by parliamentary and presidential aspirants in all but the Ashanti region. Another one of our political correspondents, Kwacha Frenuama, joins me in the studio to tell us about who is in and who is out. Good evening to you, Afre. I'm sure it's been very busy day at the party headquarters.
Certainly
for the NDC.
All these aspirants who have been racing against time to beat the party's deadline, 5 p.m. deadline. Of course, the party opened nomination some 3 weeks ago, and you've had a number of key names coming up in this race. Of course, I have been to here in Accra. I've been to the Madina constituency. I've been to Adenta as well, and it was clear that the constituents, talking about party members in those areas, are geared up for the November 7 polls of the National Democratic Congress. Of course, in all this, one interesting development, one thing that got all of us laughing was one candidate was George Boateng, who says that he wanted to contest President Mahama. The party certainly says no, he cannot do that. So at the end of the day, close of nominations, he couldn't file.
Also, what has been the process? Because on my way to work, I observed some group of NDC people, or they were wearing NDC outfits, and they were marching towards the party headquarters. Is that what happened for everybody else who was going to submit their nominations?
In most of the areas. In fact, if you look at the trend, what has been happening is that when these aspirants are picking up forms, they do it on the quiet. But on the day that they are filing their nominations, they do it in a grand style. If you look at Adenta, for example, when the various aspirants were picking up the forms, they let people pick it on their behalf. President Mahama himself, he didn't go to the party's headquarters to pick up his forms. His vice president did that for him. But on the day that he was filing his nomination, it was grand. He held a rally and all that. So it's been the case, you know, with all these other aspirants. They do it big when they are presenting their forms to party executives or constituency executives across the country. Okay,
so we're told that the Ashanti region, they haven't closed the filing of nominations. Why is that so?
The party says that they have a few issues to deal with. Of course, in some of the areas, for example, if you look at the Greater Accra region, there were issues that had to do with the, that had to do with some disagreement with the development fee, the charge of the development fee. In the Volta region, those issues have not necessarily been cleared, but in the Ashanti region, some of these issues the party says it still has to deal with. But one of the areas, as I told you about earlier, I went to Madina And there, the incumbent MP, Amadou Sorgo, he's coming up against a stiff competition. In fact, 4 men challenging him, seeking to unseat him after being in office since 2004. Amadou Sorgo says that he's so confident that he can retain his seat, getting to 12 years in office by 2016. We can hear from him.
Is that the seat was for the opposition. I have the records here. First, I beat the opposition by 1,740 votes. That was 2004. From that, 2008, I increased it to 6,780. I think that I have done so much work that people now think that the seat is safe. Medina seat is now safe, so everybody can come. Initially, nobody did. They feared 1-2, 1-2. There's a lot of difference. There was an MP who was here for 8 years. Nobody knows even where he stays. There's an MP who stayed here. I'm not the first MP. My first 4 years, I served it under an opposition party. I was in opposition when I served my first 4 years under President Kufuor.
All right, so it looks like it's pretty much set. I mean, between now and the November 7th, so we're going to be hearing about the processes, including the vetting
of aspirants, and the party is yet to set a date for this. But one significant thing is that it is not clear yet whether President Mahama himself will be vetted. At the last press conference, where after he had filed his nomination form, General Secretary Johnson Ketia said that the party was yet to decide whether or not they will just let him sail through, acclaim him, or they will take him through the normal process of vetting. But I doubt that will happen. I doubt President Mahama will be vetted.
One other interesting bit has to do with Abeku Santana. Do you know if he filed?
Yeah, Abeku Santana, from the information that we've gathered, it seems that he did not file at all. The reasons are not yet clear why he did not file, but what we understand, and this information at this stage cannot independently verify. I tried reaching him himself after I received this information from some constituency executives, but it's been difficult getting a confirmation from him on that.
All right. Thank you very much. Kwacha Nwama is one of our political correspondents here. Also, a member of parliament for Ningo Prampram Men's, and has hit hard at his main opponent in the upcoming NDT primaries. The veteran MP told Joy News that his opponent, Sam George, who is a presidential staffer, is naive and ignorant. He said Mr. George can never win the Ningo Prampram seat with his support.
This boy knows how to run, he doesn't know how to hide. And nobody should deceive himself. He cannot win Ningo Prampram without my support. This boy has been putting on the Facebook and other places. I've got information that I'm not running. Even after I have fired, he's out there that I'm not running. He said, let him swim in his naivety and ignorance. Politics on the ground is not done in the media.
The last time I spoke with him, he said the people of Ningo Prampram say he should thank you for a good job done, but now they want him. And even he said the chief of Ningo Prampram. Have you in any way heard, these kind of discussions around?
It's not true. When I heard those things, I said God should have mercy on this boy. God should have mercy on this boy. A hand that has fed you before, you want to bite it, you have to be careful. A hand that has raised you to where you are, and you think that you can mess around. And I am not sad for him, but the parents who knew. I didn't know them for Adam. His sister, when he was going to be engaged by the husband in Nigeria. Yes, let me say it. Here, we did it here. You can come on to tell you. We did it here. We did everything. Everything that I treated him like a son. And it is not, it doesn't lie in his mouth. Who is he in Ningo Prampram for them to send him to come? For them to send him to come and say thank you to me. What has he ever done there? Before I went to Ningo Prampram, before I became a member of parliament, I was serving the place. 1993, I didn't go to parliament. I went to parliament in 1996. In 93, the work that I did to 95. That was why all the elders from Ningo Pram, they send people to come and ask me to stop. You know what? I don't want to glorify his naivety. He's someone who is naive, someone who is power drunk. I don't know what he thinks, what he wants to do. I don't want to glorify it. That is why I'm being, charitable. I don't want to glorify, but I'm saying that whatever he says is a lie. I've never come across somebody who is not truthful like him.
So why do you think the people of Ningo Pram should retain you?
There is work in progress. The Accra City project, I'm on top of it because of my experience in Accra. Accra City Extension, we call it. I'm on top of it, and it has to be completed. And that is the main, when we're able to do that, open up, set up the structures. When you hit the place now, it's no longer in practice, it's not a district, it's a municipality. The kind of properties and things that we have there. Okay. And this is not for second division players.
Watching Joy News Prime now. Still to come in the bulletin. 9 months after he was knocked down by a vehicle belonging to his teacher, 15-year-old Samuel Duka is asking for the law to deal with his teacher for the accident. He says should be held liable for rendering him disabled.
I feel that I cannot pray with my friends. If they are praying, I will stay there and look at them. I feel that I am sad. I am worrying my parents so much. I don't feel anything except I should go to my school and get good job to do and take care of them.
Do you still want to go back to school?
Yes. You see, there is no money to take care of me to school.
We have some more story coming up in the bulletin, but right after this break, we're bringing you business news. Please stay tuned.
Business News is brought to you by...
It's that time for business, and Abigail Adumakwinchi is here. Good evening to you, Abigail.
Good evening, Israel.
Yeah. What's coming up in business? I'm good.
Yeah. We are talking about mobile phone and its impact on business. I mean, we are all glued to our mobile phones. Yeah. For me, I'm an addict.
I know that.
Yes.
All right.
So it's impacting on businesses, but we'll tell you how in business.
And then subsequently, we'll hear about how it's impacting on you.
Subsequently. All right, so what is business like without your mobile phone? Can you go a day without your mobile phone, and why? Etanam Say takes a look at the impact of our mobile phones on our businesses.
Modern mobile phones support a wide variety of other services such as text messaging, MMS, email, internet access, short-range wireless communications, gaming and photography. Mobile phones that offer these and more general computing capabilities are referred to as smartphones. Today, one cannot do business effectively without their mobile phones. Some businessmen and women, Joy Business Sample, describe how a day without their mobile phones would be like.
It will be a very bad day. Information that you need to receive from so many places, so many business partners, so many customers and so on, all come to you on your phone.
A day without a mobile phone, it's like being shut in a room without lights, without anything. Mobile phones have become part and parcel of us, and it promotes business, promotes communication, promotes development.
While desktops will likely remain the primary method of internet use for most users, there's no denying the mobile phone is a bigger player. Daniel Glover of Techno Mobile explains it's better.
Say that the mobile phone has contributed a lot to the speed with which I do business, and for that matter manage business, in the sense that even whether you are in the country or out of the country, whatever information that business partners or your staff want to give to you, they are able to reach you easily. And so I get the information right there on the phone, and I'm able to get back to them via the same phone.
Marketing manager of NEM Insurance, Ransford Osebunsu, describes the mobile phone as a bedrock of his business.
When you need, I'm an insurer. When you need an insurance, just send me a test, I get it done, I forward it back to you. And we do all this on the phone. And the phone is not only about the talking aspect of it. I can give you your document, whatever you want, through the phone.
In practice, mobiles fill the gap that other poor or non-existent infrastructure in these countries leave wide open.
Personally, I'm more of somebody who likes to use most of the social networks. That's when you have all the applications on your phone, like the Facebook, the Twitter, all those things. So when I do works and all that, I just have do a photo shoot, put them on there, and then customers begin to request for them online.
So it is not surprising that many innovations related to mobiles are adopted more quickly in developing countries.
It gives me the potential, the ability to connect to my customers faster. I'm able to reach a lot of people within the limited time. That means if I have 10 people chatting with me online, I can be able to send all pictures to all 10 people, and then it's very, very faster for me.
I interact with people from the US, from all over the world. Without my mobile phone, even in Ghana, it makes work extremely difficult.
So it is obvious working without your mobile phone is like trying to fill a woven basket with water. You'll get nowhere. But note, mobile phones have their downsides, so ensure you are in control of the device. Etonam say, Joy Business.
Now, government has described as ignorant and ill-informed a call by the minority in Parliament for the International Monetary Fund program with Ghana to be brought to Parliament for approval. The minority MPP at a news conference this week suggested both government and the IMF are flouting the country's constitution with the disbursement of funds without due recourse to the House. Deputy Finance Minister Kesi Olato-Forcing, however, says the 3-year extended credit agreement worth $918 million is between the Bank of Ghana and the IMF and therefore does not require parliamentary approval, citing the act establishing the central bank. He tells Joy News the loan does not constitute government borrowing.
The agreement is flawed. Flawed because, indeed, the Loans Act, the Bank of Ghana's law that governs the operations of the central bank, the 612. It is flawed because the Constitution, the Article 181, in fact, Clause 6A and B clearly explains that this is not a public debt. Clearly explains that this is not a public loan. Then it has what they are saying has no leg to stand on.
And it is your argument too that this is not international commercial transaction because the Constitution uses that language.
It is not. It is not. It is not clearly because 1, it is not a public debt. 2, central bank per their Act 612 allows them to do that. In fact, clause 51, the 612 of the Central Banks Act, clause 51 of the Bank of Ghana's Act, and then section 4 of the Bank of Ghana Act allows the central bank to go through those transactions. And this is like any other transaction, like swaps, like any other transaction, like central bank going into an arrangement with that of another bank, a foreign bank, for the purposes of getting something for balance of payment support.
So finally, you reject the minority's call on the IMF to suspend further disbursements to the Republic of Ghana.
I strongly reject it. I strongly urge the minority to seek an understanding of what Ghana's IMF program stands for. And I urge my colleagues out there to understand that this is not a bailout. This is like any other IMF program that Ghana has entered in. This is equivalent to the 2001 program that indeed they did not go to Parliament. This is equivalent to the 2003 program.
Now to the oil and gas sector, and oil giant Ghana says it is running lean operations because of the decline in crude oil prices locally. Globally, the oil industry is in new downturn. Earnings are down for companies that have made record profits in recent years, forcing them to cut down on jobs, decommission some of their rigs, and sharply cut investments in exploration and production. However, speaking to Joy Business Managing Director of Ghana, Charles Darko, assured the 10 project would not be affected.
We are actively looking at every area of our business to improve efficiency, reduce costs, and maximize the value of the funds that we have. So in a nutshell, that's what we're doing to keep contain the oil price shocks that we've seen recently. In respect of the projects in Ghana, which is the key one, which is the 10 project, it's completely unaffected. It's unaffected because it's a project that we have mobilized the funds already, and we've ring-fenced the project to bring it to successful completion because it's a key project in our larger scheme of things to help grow our own business. business and, of course, the oil and gas industry in Ghana.
'Cause
'Cause the oil and gas industry in Ghana. 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 'Cause the oil and gas industry in Ghana.
Business News.
Welcome to Joy News Prime, and we're going back to the story about the corruption of judges and the judges who have been implicated in the undercover investigative work done by investigative journalist Anas Aremiao. Anas, we're joined via Skype by H. Kwesi Prempeh. He's a constitutional lawyer, and he's going to be sharing his thoughts about all that is taking place and what is happening now. Good evening to you, Mr. Kwesi Prempeh.
Good evening,
Right, so what do you make of all that has gone on since yesterday about the corruption of judges?
Well, of course, whenever there is a story or a scandal involving judges, it's certainly a matter of some concern, great concern, in fact. That is because of the nature of the judicial function. But it is that respect of judge. But I think this journalists has set out to find corruption. And I believe that if he had set out find corruption in the other aspect of public life in Ghana, you would have found it. So, what I'm saying is that the judiciary is a microcosm of the society and the state in which we live. And therefore, this should come as no surprise. It really doesn't come as much of any surprise to me at all. But I also think, look at it from a lot of perspective. So far, I see that we are looking at it from, we are being too moralistic and legalistic about it. Moralistic about it when we suggest that this, when some suggest this may be just a case of a bad act. And when we do that, the risk is that we just head the judiciary is remove authentic acts and then basically return to business as usual. So I want to look at this as involving a few bad judges. The domestic angle also, I think, may also handicap us if we want to really look for systemic solutions and reform. And I think partly the legalistic view of is what partly got us to this point. Because oftentimes when you complain about corruption or when you allege corruption in a public institution, the reaction you get is, where is the evidence? And this is just perception. Where is the evidence? It is as if perceptions do not count. And when you take that very legalistic view, where nothing matters except courtroom evidence, then you are usually unable to really put in place those measures that would enable you to at least so I think the subject has to reflect on the state of our judiciary, but beyond that, on the state of the nation, the state of our ethics, the state of our institutions, and what it is that we can do and must do to reform the state as a whole, not just the judiciary.
Now, what do you make of what is being done, or how the process is to deal with this issue, where the judges are being heard and they are made to present or react their cases? Do you think this will lead to a clearing up or a fixing of the problem?
Well, I think, of course, these judges, we are talking about the judicial system, and they ought to, of course, set the best example in principles of natural justice. So I think it's all very well and fine that the judges are being put through a process. Process matters a lot. So I think that it is appropriate that we put them through a process where they are given the appropriate procedural safeguards and due process to answer to whatever charges may be laid against them. Of course, if this is caught on video, it makes it very difficult. I haven't seen the video myself, but all indications, certainly from what the press has reported so far, it appears that there is enough there that is quite indicting. Certainly, constitutionally, judges of the Superior Court have certain protections. They do not, judges of the inferior court, which is below the High Court, do not have those same levels of protections. Those judges can be dealt with usually by the Judicial Council in a process that is different from the Superior Court judges. But let us not also forget that if what is alleged here is what we've read, then these are acts of criminality. And in our Constitution, except for the President, who may not be criminally prosecuted while he's in office, any other public office holder can be prosecuted. It's liable to prosecution for crimes that they commit while they're holding the office. So the judges, whether or not they are subject to constitutional procedure of impeachment or not, can also separately be prosecuted. And we just have to wait to see how the process unfolds. But I think that
all right, it actually turns out that we have lost Kwesi Prempeh there on the line, where he was just elaborating some of the issues that have happened and how, well, his perspective on some of the things we've heard. Kwesi Prempeh is a constitutional lawyer and he was joining us via Skype from London. You're watching Joy News Prime, and we're taking a break. Thereafter, we're bringing Ifakwa Harrison to tell us what's coming up on social media. GN Interactive, stay tuned. You're watching Joy News Prime, and Ifakwa Harrison is here. What's coming up on GN Interactive?
Hello Israel, good evening. Well, Asare Meyao Anas is still trending. We all know why. Hashtag judges. And excluding the Ashanti region, the National Democratic Congress has closed nominations for their parliamentary primary set for November 7th this year. It's Joy News on TV, on Facebook and Twitter. Find us on WhatsApp. The number is 0560800000. Number again is 0560800,000. I will be back within the hour. It's Joy News Interactive on Joy Prime. Israel, back to you. All right.
Indeed, Ifakwa Harrison will be back with Joy News Interactive. But that's it for the first hour of Joy News Prime. We'll be back in the next few minutes with the second hour. Please stay tuned.
Is Joy News Prime.
Welcome to the second hour of Joy News Prime, and it's time for us to recap some of the top stories we have been looking at in the last hour. Now, the National Democratic Congress has closed the window for the filing of nominations by parliamentary and presidential aspirants in all but the Ashanti region. We've been speaking to one of our political correspondents who's been bringing us up to speed as to who filed and who didn't file, but also in the stories we have been looking at, the Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Iti Mensah has hit hard at his main opponent in the upcoming NDC primaries. A veteran MP told Joy News that his opponent, George, who is a presidential staffer, is naive and ignorant. He said Mr. George can never win the Ningo Pram seat without his support.
This boy knows how to run, he doesn't know how to hide. And nobody should deceive himself. He cannot win Ningo Pram without my support. This boy has been putting on the Facebook and other places. I've got information that I'm not running. Even after I had fired, he's out there that I'm not running. He said, let him swim in his naivety and ignorance. Politics on the ground is not done in the media.
The last time I spoke with him, he said the people of Ningo Pram say he should thank you for a good job done, but now they want him. And even he said the chief of Ningo Pram. Have you in any way heard, these kind of discussions around?
It's not true. When I heard those things, that I said God should have mercy on this boy. God should have mercy on this boy. A hand that has fed you before, you want to bite it, you have to be careful. A hand that has raised you to where you are, and you think that you can mess around. And I am not sad for him, but the parents who knew. I didn't know them for Adam. His sister, when he was going to be engaged by the husband in Nigeria. Yes, let me say it. Here, we did it here. You can come out to tell you. We did it here. We did everything. Everything that I treated him like a son. And it is not, it doesn't lie in his mouth. Who is he in Ningo Pram for them to send him to come? For them to send him to come and say thank you to me.
In the MPP, the Council of Elders is recommending that disciplinary action be taken against party chairman Paul Afoko. A 7-page letter written by the council to the party's disciplinary committee outlines a number of reasons for which the party chairman ought to be suspended. Now, one of the judges implicated in the corruption scandal in the judiciary repeatedly called the undercover reporters for the balance on the 10,000 CD bribe he had been offered to set a criminal suspect free. This is part of the dossier released by the undercover reporter on High Court Judge Ajet Nassam. The investigative journalist Barima Osei has started serializing details of his investigations in the New Crusading Guide newspaper as well as on Facebook. Meanwhile, the former president of the Ghana Bar Association, Sam Mukudjeto, is optimistic that the exposure of corruption in the judiciary will help clean up the country's justice delivery system and make it more efficient. He wants the investigation by undercover reporter Barima Osei to serve as a notice to the judicial officers that they are being watched.
I feel sad because I have been in practice now for the past 52 years, and I have seen judges with integrity, judges whom you've known them in practice, you've seen their attainment, their achievement, and then they sit down, and then when you appear before them, even when you disagree with them, you respect them because of the stand they've taken. But now it looks like what we keep hearing is that young lawyers from my office go to court, they come back frustrated because they don't understand the basis for some of the rulings and the order which have been made. Of course, what can you do? You only say you appeal. But then, what has happened now is actually bringing at the bottom of the line. Is to say that, so you mean this is what has been happening, that most of us were unaware of. And I think this is, to me, will have to cleanse the system. And as I maintain, I said, it will help any judge who is sitting there, be a magistrate, a circuit judge, or high court judge, or appeal court, or even Supreme Court judge, to begin to appreciate that, look, you are being watched.
In a related development, former President Flight Lieutenant General John Rawlings says he is saddened by the revelations that several members of the judiciary have been implicated in a bribery scandal. He has, however, called for circumspection and tact in dealing with the matter, especially by the media and members of the public. President Rawlings said in a statement that, "I feel genuinely sad about it. I guess it shows some are just as vulnerable as most others. Times are really hard, and there is no doubt some would have done it out of greed, like some of our politicians, businessmen, and so-called men of God, and others to profit from politics by releasing armed robbers and other criminals back onto our streets. It is important, however, that the relevant institutions and authorities take the necessary steps to investigate fully these revelations and deal appropriately with the guilty culprits." President Rawlings concludes in the statement, "The media and members of the general public should exercise a lot of circumspection and restraint, so we do not end up bringing the reputation of many members of the judiciary who have their integrity intact into disrepute." We're taking a break. We have more stories coming up. Don't go away. So today, the National Democratic Congress closed the filing of nominations for people who would want to contest the presidency or to run for parliament. And one of the people who failed, or who could not, even though he had wished to run for president, who could not file his nominations, is George Boateng. And he joins me in the studio now to tell us about the experience. Good evening to you, George.
Good evening.
All right. So how come you didn't file?
Well, you know, the circumstances around my picking of my nomination. This is the reason why that also puts impediment on my way, so that I was not able to get all my members to endorse my nomination form. This is the reason
But
why.
did you get the nomination forms in the first place?
Yes.
Oh, so you eventually got the nomination forms?
I have it around by, that was...
When did you get it?
1 a.m. That was yesterday at dawn.
How did you get it?
Well, we had a meeting with some of the financial of the party, NDC financier, and including the general secretary. And there was an agreement that I should be allowed to contest the president.
So you held this meeting at 1 a.m.?
Yes. We started from 10 p.m. to 1 a.m.
Okay, so it was at that point that they agreed. Where did this meeting take place?
Well, it took around the Roman Ridge.
Not in the party?
No.
Office?
No.
All right, so, I mean, were you really serious about running this?
Yes, I'm very serious.
Because I thought you said you had lined up all the people who were going to sign it for you when we spoke the last time.
Yes, I have them because...
So how come you couldn't get them to...
Yeah, I kept them at a hotel. Well, fortunately...
You kept them at a hotel?
Yeah, at the hotel.
How many of them?
Oh, let's say I have about 200.
You kept 200 people?
Yes, in the hotel.
In a hotel?
Yes.
Just so they could fill your form?
Yeah, endorse it.
And what happened to them?
And what happened was, I know during the struggle to accept the nomination form, and as I said, when Ketia came out that it was a drafted one, there was blah, 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 and a whole lot about cover all the issue. Some of them also had a family issue. So they decided then they will go back and solve their family issue, so that when we are able to, I'm able to resolve my issue, then they'll come back. But yes.
But
so
the 200 people, it must have cost you a lot to put 200 people in a hotel.
Yes, it have cost me a lot.
Like how much?
It have cost me a lot. Now I can discuss it to the public.
Okay, so you were threatening that you were going to sue.
Yes, of course. I decided to go to the court, but eventually during the meeting, my lawyer also was included, and all this issue came out that I have to withdraw, or the court threatened.
What's next for you?
The next is that, well, I've thrown the towel, and I'm really behind the president. I wish him good luck, and I will stay back. And also all my complaints that I level on concerning about the economy, I hope he will take serious note of it.
Are you looking at having a meeting with him so you can get him, you can sell your ideas to him?
Well, as I was speaking right now, he's not in the country now. He's outside doing an official visit outside.
So when he comes,
so when
you
he
intend
comes
to?
down, I have intention to meet him at the Flaster House. We'll sit down, and I'll put my issues down on
your
paper. Ideas on paper.
Such as?
Yes.
Legalization of?
Or I'll put so that he can also study it. If he feels that it is very good, so that we can implement in the...
How important is the legalization of marijuana to you?
Well, it's very, very important, because I could remember that one of our member, who is also an executive holding a position in NACO, Akresi Sapon, if I could remember.
Yeah.
He also said the same as I've said.
So that makes it very important
Yes.
for you. I'm also told that, you know, you're a very difficult tenant. You've been fighting with your landlord.
That's my personal issue.
Yeah, but it all adds to telling the kind of person you are.
Yes, you know, that's why that's the reason I said one of my policy is to make sure that I'll build shelter, I'll give shelter.
But you don't have shelter of your own?
I have shelter on my own.
But you're staying in somebody's house?
You know, tenant and landlord issue is a lot, and it's a very big problem in this our country here. So I hope that when I had a nod, I'm going to amend the law, and I'll remove the what they call it, the rent control from the Ministry of Housing to Ministry of Justice.
Okay.
You see, it's a business. I mean, rent is a pure business. So the country have to have the real look on rent control.
Okay.
So that we really address the rent control issue.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. George Boateng, and we wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right, so we heard from George Boateng. He had attempted, or he actually wanted to run for president on the ticket of the National Democratic Congress. He failed, as it is. We're taking a break now. When we come back, we bring you entertainment. More entertainment. It's now time for entertainment, and Miss G is here. Good evening to you.
Good evening.
Gloria.
Good evening.
You know, once in a while I need to mention your full name. Sure. Gloria Akpenenyako.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miss G for short. Okay, so what's coming up in it?
A lot's coming up. You know, if you are asked to tell us who's Sarkodie's 3 favorite female celebrities will be, which names would you mention?
I would immediately mention Yvonne Nelson.
Oh, you failed.
Yvonne Nelson is not in there?
No, she didn't make the list. You know, he was asked by Dr. Pounds to mention his 3 favorite celebrities, and he mentioned Yvonne Okoro, Peace Hyde.
There's Yvonne at least.
Okay, so and Yvonne made the
Okoro,
list. Peace Hyde and Belamundi. And also he tells Pounds how he's able to put together his lyrics.
What do the 3 of these ladies have in common? Peace Hyde, Yvonne Okoro, Belamundi, assets.
What kind of assets? Bella doesn't have assets.
She doesn't?
Yvonne Okoro and Peace Hyde, yes, but Bella...
Okay.
All right, but then he also tells Pounds about how he gets inspiration to write his music. And then Pounds decided to rap alongside Sarkodie and tell Sarkodie to feature him on his album. Let's hear what Sarkodie tells him.
Scientific, baby. Wanna work What up? Would you be my girlfriend? You got characteristics of a wife and not a mere friend. Making love and party, we could do it all, fam. When you transform somebody beauty to my offspring. So these gold diggers get off him. All these niggas hating cause I'm flossing. Y'all so beautiful, your body just suitable. I don't really care what it costs me. Get it. I ain't no player, girl. Perfect definition of the God that you said I was. Loving, caring, faithful, loyal, and you know the rest. Understanding, respect, and truth.
All right, so I can see Bella with the assets. You're saying she doesn't have assets. She does have assets.
Okay, Bella, Isa says
don't you have
assets.
The eyes to identify assets?
No, I don't have your kind of eyes, Izzy. I do not have your kind of eyes. All right, so Bella, Isa says you have assets. So
she does,
that's it for you. But let's talk about Desmond Elliott. You know, Desmond Elliott actually has decided to move away from acting. He's concentrating now on politics because he represents the Surulere constituency in Nigeria with the APC party. Now, recently when Dela of My Joy Online went to Mauritius, he met him and he asked him, look, what's happening with you and acting? He says he's taking a break from acting and he's now concentrating on how he can actually curb piracy in Nigeria. Let's listen to Desmond.
Kwame Jumo Ajamang is here. It means it's time for sports. Good evening to you, Kwame.
Good evening.
What are you scrolling up there?
You know, with sports, we need to be up to speed with what's happening.
The very latest.
So I'm just trying to check if there's anything new so that my viewers don't miss out.
Thank you very much. So what's coming up in sports?
Well, a lot more coming up in sports. You know, the Black Queens were in action earlier today at the All African Games. It looks like something has gone horribly wrong with Team Ghana in Congo. We can't seem to win anything. Football, ladies, men, anything we are doing, we can't seem to win anything at the moment.
Oh. They didn't fly any cash to them?
Maybe they are not that big to deserve all that cash.
All right, give it to us.
We'll stay with All African Games, and the Black Queens were in action earlier this afternoon. They played the Bayana of South Africa. Ghana failing to get a result in that game, drawing 0-0. Skipper Mercy Miles blaming that scoreline on hard luck.
It was just hard luck. Yes, there was no problem.
You had the opportunity to watch them, you played them, you outplayed them, and you couldn't score. Yeah,
we had the opportunity. That helped us to, put up the performance that we did. Because looking at them against the Cameroonians, they played very well, which they could have won the game, but hard luck as well for them.
Were they fortunate not to have conceded?
Yes, they were fortunate because we had the chances that we could have buried them, but it was, just as I said, hard luck.
Now, executive committee member of the Ghana Football Association, Madame Linia Adi, was at the game to see the Black Queens in action, and she was disappointed with the Queens' inability to nick all 3 points.
I believe the girls played very well, and unfortunately the chance that came our way, but the goalkeeper of the South African was also smart, and so they actually frustrated our attackers. But that notwithstanding, the girls played very well, and they need to be commended. It's just that we have drawn. We have 1 point now. South Africa has 2, Cameroon has 1, but we have not scored a goal. But we are looking forward to the next game.
And earlier this afternoon as well, in the men's division, the host Congo were in action against Burkina Faso. That game ending by 2-1. So this is the home team, the Congolese, in their red outfits, scoring the first goal there. They had earlier won their first game against Sudan in the group phase, and it's understandable that the fans will be celebrating that goal. They almost made it 2 from this point, but that ball went wide. Burkina Faso in the green strips, getting themselves back into the game with that wonderful free kick there. So it was a 1-1 at this point, but there was still one more goal in this one. So that was the goal, and that was the winning goal. Congo winning all 2 games, and it's a massive 6 points from a possible 6 in their 2 games at the All African Games. We do some news from the First Capital Plus Premier League. We've done 29 match days already, going into match day 30 over the weekend. Accra Hearts of Oak will be playing a Wafa in their final game of the season. Skipper Robin Yan very confident that the Phobians would get a result over this weekend.
They are a very good team. We are preparing for the last game, because the last game of the season, our team didn't go well, this season. Man, as you can see, the season is coming to end, and you are doing well. You turn on to go. Man, you are preparing very well the last game. I'm not any pressure, because it's football. A penalty is 50-50. Either you score or you mix a chant. You mix it. It's football. I don't say about it. This year I was having a good performance. My performance was good on this season. I try to, because as a footballer, it's not all the time. All the game you perform. Sometimes you become down. Sometimes you need to lift yourself up. Man, most of the match, I lift myself up. I hope the season was a nice season for me.
Robin Yan can't seem to get over that penalty miss to Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We do some news from the English Premier League ahead of match day 5 this weekend. Arsene Wenger defending his...
Before saying this with Joy News Prime, in other news, the Passport Office has acquired new machines which are expected to fast-track the processing of applications for international travel documents. The breakdown of old machines created a serious backlog of passport applications, leaving thousands of Ghanaians frustrated. The Director of Passports, Alexander Grant in Trakwa, tells Joy News the obsolete machines have been replaced and that the backlog will soon be cleared.
We had challenges with the equipment that we were using. That I said we hadn't retooled for so many years, so obviously the equipment will not function like they were brand new, and so even the servers that we just changed, the servers were almost full, and IT guys were even saying that if we didn't change them, there was the possibility of the system crashing, and for that matter we were going to lose all the data. So working, we were staggering the way we were doing things. We will work over the weekend that we were supposed to go to the office to maybe finish with what we were outstanding. We will use the period to do a backup session from Saturday to Monday.
Now, 9 months after he was knocked down by a vehicle belonging to his teacher, 15-year-old Samuel Duka is asking for the law to deal with his teacher for the accident, who he says should be held liable for rendering him disabled. The family of Samuel Duka says though his life has been completely turned around, his teacher appears to have abandoned him. Matilda Vamaga has more on the tragic story of Samuel, who once dreamt of becoming a world-class athlete.
I feel that I cannot pray with my friends. If they are praying, I will stay there and look at them. I feel that I am sad. I am worrying my parents so much. I don't feel anything except I should go to my school and get good job to do and take care of them.
Samuel Duka is in great pain. All he remembers is what his family told him about an accident which occurred 9 months ago. Samuel was knocked down by a vehicle belonging to a teacher in his school. He was in coma for a week, and when he gained consciousness, he had absolutely no memory of the incident.
I don't know where I'm going before I get the accident. They told me that I am on bike, but me too, I don't know where I am going before the car hits me.
What do you remember when you woke up? Where did you see yourself?
I don't know where I am, but the time we came here, before I saw the picture, one day I saw the picture in the room and I am looking at it. Then they told me that time I am on a coma and they have pictured me. I forgot that this is my sister, but I am seeing them. I felt that they brought me somewhere. I don't go to, I stay at home.
Though his wounds appear healed, Sammy tells me he continues to endure an unbearable pain each day.
My leg is doing me like something is paining me in. My hand, I cannot touch anything. I can eat with my left. That one bit.
Do you bath?
They bath for me. They wear the clothes for me. Everything they are doing for me.
Before the accident, Samuel was a JHS1 student of the St. James Anglican School in Sekondi, Takoradi. An active student, he was the captain of the school's football team. Today, he cannot play the game he loves anymore. To make matters worse, his education appears to have been truncated. Meanwhile, the teacher whose car knocked Samuel down has refused to pay his medical bills. For the family, this has been a very difficult year.
Review, you need to scan or see you. No, send me 50 Ghana. Maka chance minuapo lorry fare no po 50 Ghana and draw no because at time no see review no on nanti.
We were told to come for a review at Ifia Kwanta Hospital in Takrady. We had no money to cater for the transport, as well as the medical fees. When we informed the teacher about it, he said he can only give us 50 Ghana cedis.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll bring you the interactive segment. Stay tuned.